Ferrari sought revenge at Watkins Glen, the 9th run in the Manufacturers' World Championship. The setup at the start was 2-2-2. The Ferraris were very fast during practice, but the Porsches kept up with them. The Watkins Glen course is even shorter than Brands Hatch, 2.35 miles, which can be driven slightly over a minute. The 6 hours can be very exhausting for the timekeepers. The Ferraris, driven by Andretti and Giunti, by Ickx and Chetty, just couldn't keep up with the Porsche stars, Seifert and Rodriguez. So there was a pit mechanics duel between the two 917 entries. John Wyer never gives pit instructions. Seifert and Redman are both experienced Grand Prix drivers. They do not take unnecessary chances. One of the slower cars at Watkins Glen brought about a critical situation, spinning out and sending Seifert's Porsche to the pits for a while. Porsche+Audi entered two 917s at Watkins Glen. Number 32 was driven by Atwood and Ahrens. The other Porsche+Audi entry was piloted by Dennis Hume and Vic Elford. Even though Porsche had clinched the world title, Ferrari was so eager to win this race that it had enlisted the services of Mario Andretti. The leading drivers continued their personal duel to the conclusion of the 308-lap race. The Gulf Porsche sped across the line, Rodriguez and Kinnunen just 44 seconds ahead of Seifert and Redman. The two Porsche+Audi 917s took 4th and 6th places. The Ferraris took 3rd place and 5th. Perhaps the most amazing thing was that all the cars in this hard-fought 6-hour battle managed to cross the finish line. For Porsche, it was the 8th victory in 9 events in the Manufacturers' World Championship. The 10th and last run took place in northern Steiermark, Austria, on a new raceway completed in 1969, the 6-kilometer Österreich-Ring, set in the peaceful mountains. Porsche had secured the world title for good and all, but once again, John Wyer's team, the Salzburg team, and some private entries, including 914s and 911s, were being challenged by Ferrari. And there was a new challenge. 4 new Alfa Romeo 3-liter prototypes, 430 horsepower cars weighing only 1,366 pounds, which promised to offer stiff competition. During the first laps, the Ferrari, driven by Jackie Ickx, held the lead, but the race was full of surprises. In the 5th lap, Rodriguez was forced out with engine failure. Seifert's car was not running as well as expected. Kurt Ahrens in the Salzburg 917 held 2nd place, and 3rd was the other Salzburg 917 with Elford at the wheel. Then came the best Alfa Romeo. There was some shifting of position after the first fuel stop and change of drivers. Ferrari maintained the lead. Marco, who took over the 917 from Ahrens, was only 13 seconds behind Ickx when the leading Ferrari slowed down and stopped because of a breakdown in the electrical system. Marco had a clear lead, but his pit hung out the T for tank sign too late. Marco was left sitting on the course. He had run out of gas. So Seifert and Redman and John Wyer's Gulf Porsche assumed the lead. In the GT category, the 914 performed brilliantly. Steck Koenig and Prinz von Hohenzollern won. Up front, the Siffert-Redmond car had the lead all to itself. But 12 laps before the finish, the front-running Porsche slowed down. The engine had begun to sputter. Siffert, using only fourth gear, was pressed by the Alfa Romeo, trying to move up from second place. Proceeding cautiously, Siffert eased across the finish line, narrowly winning Porsche's 9th victory in the 10-event manufacturers' World Championship. The conclusion of a most successful racing year for Porsche, with hard-won victories against the toughest competition. That's 1970, and Porsche did it.